I'm Doug Brown. Week 3 in the NFL starts tonight with the Giants and the 49ers in Santa Clara. No Saquon Barkley for the Giants. He's out with a sprained right ankle. There's only one matchup of 2-0 teams this weekend. That's Monday night when the Buccaneers host the Eagles. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield knows the Eagles defense will be a challenge.
Starts with the interior guys. Got great edge rushers. Had tremendous years last year. So we're wary of that. We're going to be ready for it. They get paid too. They're going to have good plays. We're going to have bad plays. And you just got to adjust and go off that. And so it's about handling the little bumps in the road throughout the game and making sure we get the last punch.
Baker Mayfield. Cowboys corner Trayvon Diggs left practice today with an apparent knee injury. He was on crutches after practice. Former offensive lineman Laurent Duvernay-Tardif is retiring from the NFL. Duvernay-Tardif is a doctor who left the game in 2020 to work in his native Canada during the pandemic. First baseball final of the day. The Brewers' magic number to clinch the division is 3. They beat the Cardinals today 6-0.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tumpley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Quinn Grovey next hour. Fantasy Blitz later this hour. Ryan Clark, Mike Triplett coming up in hour 3. A ton of football to get to today, so let's not waste any time.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
So as we were kind of coming down the home stretch on Wednesday's show, we were talking a little bit about Marcus Maye's suspension for 3 games, of course, dating back to his DUI a couple of years ago. So Marcus Maye out, and we do know that the likely replacement is going to be rookie Jordan Hoden. As a matter of fact, our friend Mike Triplett, who will be with us later, Mike Triplett just minutes ago tweeted this. Saints defensive coordinator Joe Woods confirmed rookie safety Jordan Hoden is getting the reps in practice to be the leading candidate to replace Marcus Maye in the starting lineup during Maye's 3-game suspension. So they have multiple combinations they could use, though. Okay, so that's likely how it's going to look. For whatever it's worth, Jordan Love, Packers quarterback, was asked by the media on Wednesday, how the Saints secondary changes without Marcus Maye back there. Here's what he said.
Not that that'll be a huge impact for them. He's a starter guy for them. I haven't really got too much into who the backup is and how he's played because we haven't just heard about that. So I think it'll be it's just for them. It's next man up too. So we'll just have to go see who the backup is and study him a little bit.
So I want to run through the possibilities and what this may look like for New Orleans with Marcus Maye out for 3 weeks. And for whatever it's worth, of course, Marcus Maye will be eligible to come back for the game against the Texans. So he'll miss the next 3 weeks here. And, Jordan Hoden as the likely starter makes a lot of sense. But really what it comes down to is, do you want youth or experience there? Do you want youth with the high ceiling or the guy that's been on the field? The Saints' official depth chart has Jordan Hoden, by the way, who's the rookie 5th-round pick out of Minnesota. They have him as the backup at strong safety. So Marcus Maye, then Jordan Hoden behind him. The free safety spot is Tyrann Mathieu, and then Lonnie Johnson, Ugo Amadi behind him. And then, of course, we know J.T. Gray is back there as well. But J.T. Gray has been an all-pro special teamer. He has sort of pinch hit at times at safety when needed, in a game situation where things might have gotten lean. But that's he makes his living on special teams. We all know that. So when I look at the options that the Saints have, Jordan Hoden is a rookie, but hat tip, you got a guy there who came in, adjusted very quickly, very well, and has basically been the dime back for this team. Keep in mind, that's the role P.J. Williams played for years in this defense. P.J. Williams, when he was drafted out of Florida State, thought he might be a boundary corner. That never really materialized for him, but he found his home in the dime package as that 6th defensive back. A year ago, you had Bradley Roby as your nickel, and P.J. Williams was your dime. And when Marcus Maye was out for 7 games last year with injury, P.J. Williams went and played safety. So it made a lot of sense that you had that guy with good cover skills going back and playing that role. So naturally, if Jordan Hoden filled that dime spot, it's just rinse, repeat with a younger guy filling the role P.J. Williams did. Makes a lot of sense. But when you look at the other guys on the roster that could potentially kick back there, mention Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson is in his 5th year in the NFL. Of course, former 2nd-round pick out of Kentucky. You played for Houston and Tennessee a year ago, and now with New Orleans. Lonnie Johnson's played in 58 career games over his 5 seasons. Ugo Amadi also came into the NFL in 2019. He was a 4th-round pick. Similar to Johnson, 3 years in Seattle as opposed to Houston, then last year with Tennessee, now New Orleans. Amadi's played in 52 career games. J.T. Gray, I mentioned, has got a ton of experience, but he's more of a special teamer. And so I started to look around and go, well, is there anybody else with that roster spot available that you could go look at in free agency? And the reality is the free agent market at safety right now, meaning available free agents that are currently unsigned, it's lean. So, the one name on there, as a matter of fact, that actually would make a little bit of sense is Jonathan Abram. It's a guy who had been with the Saints this past offseason. I mean, if we look at the available names right now at safety, I mean, here's your list. I'm pulling it up right now. Devin McCourty, who's likely retired, but Devin McCourty, Eric Rowe, Jonathan Abram, Clayton, LaMarcus Joyner, Marcus. Do you know that? I don't even know the name. Clayton Fejedelem. I don't even know his name. Was with Miami last year. Marcus Allen, not that Marcus Allen. Brandon Wilson, DeAndre Houston Carson. I mean, my point is, there ain't a lot of depth there in the available safeties. So you got a guy like Jonathan Abram, who's a former 1st-round pick out of Mississippi State, was with the Raiders in both Oakland and Vegas, played for 3 different teams a year ago, was with you in the offseason, didn't make the team, but is floating out there. So if you need a body who's familiar with what you do for 3 weeks, Jonathan Abram's available. But in the meantime, I mean, you made the decision to go with Lonnie Johnson, Ugo Amadi for a reason, and Jordan Hoden as well. So I like the idea of giving the young buck a shot. Like, you can't gain experience until you go play. So eventually you've got to put him out there to go play. Now, you don't love that the situation has necessitated it, meaning Marcus Maye is suspended for 3 games, but sometimes the urgency, need is bred through urgency, and that's where the Saints find themselves right now. And so maybe this ends up being a huge positive for New Orleans in getting Jordan Hoden onto the field sooner, because if he plays well, and in some respects could Wally Pip, if everything goes well, Marcus Maye, when you look at Marcus Maye's contract, the Saints do have an off-ramp after this season for Marcus Maye. And Maye has been, I think it's fair to say, a disappointment. Not completely his fault, but he's had a couple of off-the-field instances. Injury cost him 7 games a year ago. Now the DUI suspension has cost him 3 games this season. There was the road rage incident this past offseason where charges were dropped. But And Marcus Maye, quite honestly, was not very good on the back end a year ago when he did play, and so far is leading the team in missed tackles through the first 2 weeks this season. So you got a guy who you needed a veteran safety. You signed Marcus Maye. He was coming off of an injury with the Jets, but he got on the field, was injured again. Now he's suspended. He's had off-the-field issues. You got an off-ramp next year where if he's a post-June 1 designation, you save $7.5 million. So this is a major opportunity for Jordan Hoden, not just right now, like to help this secondary continue to gel and grow and maybe get a little bit younger and more talented, but potentially for the Saints to make a decision on him this offseason as well, knowing that they have an opportunity to hit the eject button off the Marcus Maye, to pull the ripcord on the Marcus Maye contract after this season. So keep an eye on the rookie this weekend when they go up to Green Bay and for the next 3 weeks. If he plays well against Green Bay, of course, he'll draw the assignment again against Tampa. And as they move through this 3-game stint here without Marcus Maye in the secondary. So, again, it sounds as though the Saints are going to roll with the rookie out of Minnesota, Jordan Hoden. We'll see how he plays this Sunday in Green Bay. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Of course, our Thursday shows are always brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Got a lot to get to. Our Fantasy Blitz in about 30 minutes from right now. Darin Tietgen will be here, as he is every Thursday during football season. So before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net. That's whotostart.net. Love telling you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Just a few weeks, I'll be down in Harahan at their office in the greater New Orleans area, checking out the new calibration lab. Every time I go down there, it's just so impressive, even though I don't know how to operate any of that machinery or largely what much of it does. That's why they have these experts that do all that. It is so impressive to see these scales that weigh many, many tons, the calibration devices, and the friendly people there as well. You know, I tell you often, one of the really cool things, if you go to Michelli.com and you hit the careers tab, there's a veterans careers tab in there as well. Michelli is part of a DoD Skill Bridge program, whereby, be it active duty or if you're already a civilian, they help servicemen and women transition back into civilian life with jobs that utilize their skill sets that they learned in the military. So every time I go to Michelli, I'll see, Army men and women, Marines, Navy men and women. It's really cool to see. So Michelli Weighing and Measurement. If you have served our country, Michelli wants to help you as you transition into your post-military life. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Let me knock out our first break of the show. When we come back, let's hear a little of what Brian Kelly and Sam Pittman had to say as they continue to preview LSU and Arkansas Saturday and Tiger Stadium. But I was doing an interview with my buddy John Neighbors up in Little Rock just about an hour ago, and he asked me a question that I hadn't been asked yet this week because I hadn't considered it. When we come back, I'll tell you what that question was, how I answered, and I'd love your feedback as well. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's opened their doors 100 years ago. At the time, they were just a produce stand, Capital Produce, right there in New Orleans. As a matter of fact, where their current location in Houma, it's so interesting because that location has gone through 5 or 6 different iterations over 100 years, but it's the same place where they originally started. They've been helping you make groceries as a grocer for 60 years now, and they've got 60 locations from Lake Charles all the way to Orange Beach, Alabama. When you walk into a Rouse's, one of the things I always encourage you to do, look for the Rouse's branded products. When you go and shop, and look for that Rouse's logo in every single Rouse's branded products. The best ingredients, and they always, always, always source them locally when they can. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Download that Rouse's app today. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
I don't have an update on his status, but I can tell you that he's really ran well yesterday and progressing faster than what I thought he might. But I don't know whether he'll be able to play or not.
That was Sam Pittman Wednesday morning when asked for an update on Rocket Sanders. Of course, Raheem Sanders was first-team All-SEC running back a year ago, and he hasn't played the last 2 weeks for Arkansas after banging up his knee in week 1. So didn't play against Kent State in a win when they weren't clearly going to need him, and then didn't play this last week against BYU either. So he's just played the one game this year so far in the opener for Arkansas against Western Carolina, and he only had 15 carries for 42 yards. He did score twice, but that was a whitewashing, 56-13. But make no mistake about it, if Rocket Sanders is available, he changes the dynamic of this game between LSU and Arkansas. Because Sanders is 6'2", 242. He is a big, physical, downhill runner who last year was awesome and was first team All-SEC, and it was warranted. He carried the ball 222 times a year ago for 1,443 yards and 10 touchdowns. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry. Rocket Sanders is really, really good. If you have Rocket Sanders and KJ Jefferson, who also is really, really, really good, and a dude that's 6'3", 250, you have two big physical runners that lean on you and wear down a defense. You don't need me to explain that to you. You understand it. So if you remove Sanders from the mix for Arkansas in this ball game, and A.J. Green is sort of the last man standing at running back. Look, Green is a good player. Funny that he's got the same name of the former Georgia wide receiver, but he's 5'11", 205. He's a different style of running back than what Rocket Sanders is, who's 2 inches and 30 pounds or 40 pounds heavier than Green is. Just very, very different stylistically when you got to tackle A.J. Green as opposed to trying to tackle Rocket Sanders 20 times a game and K.J. Jefferson another 10 to 15. So Sam Pittman on Wednesday said Sanders is moving around pretty good and not sure if he's going to go. Kind of making a few calls around Fayetteville. It feels like that might be gamesmanship, and that it's doubtful Sanders plays, but we'll find out. Listen, I think we all thought the same thing last year, didn't we? When LSU went to Fayetteville, and all week it was, man, not sure if KJ Jefferson was going to go, and it went right up until game time. And I think I remember talking about it. I certainly thought that KJ Jefferson was going to play. And so about an hour before kick, when the word started to spread that he was going to be scratched, we saw the line balloon, and everybody was really genuinely surprised. So maybe this is one of those situations with Sam Pittman where the same thing is unfolding. It's a little bit of gamesmanship to make you prepare for him, but he may not be ready to go with a knee injury that apparently is a little more serious than, obviously it's serious if it's kept him out for 2 weeks already, but he may not be able to go this weekend. So that is a huge storyline worth watching as we get through the next 48 hours toward game time with LSU and Arkansas. I was asked earlier today, about an hour before the show, I did an interview with my buddy John Neighbors, who's on 103.7 The Buzz up in Little Rock. Does a really good job. If you're looking for Arkansas content, John does a great job. And John asked me a question that I hadn't considered yet this week, and when you hear the question, you'll understand why. He said, what would the reaction be like in Baton Rouge if LSU lost this game? And I hadn't thought of it because I hadn't really considered the fact that LSU could lose this game. Now, it's an SEC game. It's an opponent that always gives you their best swing. You were a big favorite in their place a year ago and escaped. The last 3 games in this series have all been decided by 3 points, including an overtime win by Arkansas last time they were in Baton Rouge. Now, I'll grant you, that was with Ed Ogeron as a lame duck coach the week after you went and, played probably your best game of the year against Alabama and lost a close one on the road. But point being, this game seldom goes to script, and it's usually very close. So the 18-point line feels inflated just because of what this series has been, but I get it when Arkansas just lost at home as an 8-point favorite to BYU, where they blew not 1 but 2 double-digit leads in the course of that ball game. And I guess my answer to the way I answer John's question is that there would be a full-on melt here if LSU were to lose to Arkansas on Saturday, because so much of the reaction to an individual game in a vacuum has to consider the macro expectations. What did we think about this team coming into the year? What were your expectations? And relative to those expectations, how does the result of one game impact it? Meaning, coming into this year, LSU was a preseason top 5 team. I picked them to win the national championship. There were many people who picked them to win the SEC. So if you don't even get through September without being dinged twice, once by Florida State and once at home as an 18-point favorite against Arkansas, there would be a full-on melt. And it would be somewhat justified. Because if you lose this game at home, the very real question that you have to ask is whether or not the standard that Brian Kelly has worked so hard to implement, the discipline and the expectation of how you go about handling your business day in and day out. Remember when Brian Kelly got hired and he talked about, every player having that app where they had to chart what they ate and when they slept and all these good habits that he's instituting. All of those things, the discipline, the expectation that they've worked so hard to implement, you have to wonder if it's taking, if you can't beat Arkansas at home as an 18-point favorite. So, now, I'm not saying that that's fair. I'm not saying that's how I would feel. I'm just saying that a lot of people would feel that way, and I think it's probably a justified reaction if the game were to go that way. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I don't think LSU is going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. This game is always closer. We've talked about this for as long as I've done this show. LSU always gets Arkansas's best swing. Always. No matter how good LSU or Arkansas are, how bad they are, LSU always gets their best swing. I mean, 2014 was a miserable year. Arkansas hadn't won a conference game in like 3 years. LSU went up there on a cold night in Fayetteville, missed a field goal on the opening possession, and never got up off the mat. Lost. It's when Arkansas was storming across the field to go pick up the boot. Like, it's a weird game. It's a weird series. They care way more than you. I just don't know how much of a legitimate excuse that is this go-round. Because you don't have the excuse of, well, it was 1:30 on the Friday after Thanksgiving and, we weren't locked in. You don't have the excuse of, well, it's the week after Alabama where you're sky high and the whole season is centered around the Alabama game. And regardless of what happens, win or lose, you're going to have that emotional letdown a week later. It's September. It's September. You're healthy. You're fresh. All of your goals are in front of you. You had your wake-up call after Florida State. You've improved each of the last 2 weeks. You are at home as a massive favorite. Their best offensive player, Raheem Sanders, is questionable for the game. If he does go, I can't imagine he would be close to 100% of what he typically is. You have massive advantages in this ballgame. You got to go win it. And for LSU right now, as much as Brian Kelly has talked about all of his competitive edge and all of the things that he focuses on, this is a great example that would illustrate whether or not that message is taking. Because right now, the one game that really looks like it's going to give you some pause is going to Tuscaloosa. I've said this so many times now already. There is not another game on this schedule where you could legitimately say, uncap the Sharpie and scribble an L. There's not another one. That's not to say LSU is going to win them all, but they can win any game remaining on their schedule, and it wouldn't be a surprise if they did. So you've got to be able to go and take care of business at home against Arkansas. And then you got to go on the road as a favorite and beat Ole Miss. And you got to go on the road as a favorite and beat Missouri. And then you got to come home as a favorite and beat Auburn. And then beat Army. And then you get to go on the road against Alabama, where you're probably going to be an underdog, and you got to see if you can go win that one. And if you do, then you're staring a playoff berth right in the face. Beat Florida at home, beat Georgia Southern, Georgia State, take care of Texas A&M at home, and you're back in the SEC championship game as an 11-1 team, likely playing Georgia with a chance to go play for the national championship. It's all there for you. It's all right there, and the path is very manageable. But you got to avoid the pitfalls, and one of them could be staring you in the face this week with Arkansas coming in, because they're going to play over their head. They always do. Now, the thing about Arkansas that they got to get fixed, and I don't know if they can, and they got a very experienced defensive front seven. They lead the SEC in sacks right now, and that could cause trouble for LSU's offensive line, running game, pressuring Jaden Daniels. All that stuff is very, very legitimate. The biggest problem Arkansas has right now, their offensive line is going through a lot of flux right now, and it's been a challenge, and they are an undisciplined football team. They committed 14 penalties against BYU. 14 for 125. And that's not a one-off. That has been what this team has been so far through 3 weeks. And Sam Pittman was asked, how do you fix penalties in the middle of the season?
I think penalties come different in each game. I do. You have different officials too. But penalties are lazy feet, and sometimes they come because you're wanting to have so much success that you strain or you hold on too long, and so certainly we are working to try to clean that up, and I believe that we will.
They had 7 in the opener against Western Carolina, 4 against Kent State, and then 14 last week against BYU. So won't be easy for Arkansas coming in night game in Death Valley to try to pull the upset. But it's one where if you're LSU, you've got to clear this hurdle to keep along the path toward a championship, which is still out there for you. All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Love telling you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, Hardy plank vinyl siding. You know they do it all over at Relief Windows. And, of course, now at Relief Windows, they've got indoor shutters as well. You can go to the website. You can hit the shutters tab right there at the top of the page, and you'll see how you can get those custom-fit shutters, custom-made for your home from our friends over at Relief Windows. And there's so many reasons to choose Relief Windows. If they're installing your windows, might as well let them do the shutters as well. They're handcrafted with the finest materials and the latest technology. They're moisture and humidity resistant. They insulate 65% better than wood. They're resistant to UV rays. They won't yellow or crack or chip or split or warp. They're environmental friendly. They're antimicrobial certified. They're indoor shutters from Relief Windows. Have the experience, quality, and service you do with all of their other products, now with indoor shutters as well. You can always give them a buzz, 288-8138, 288-8138, or online at reliefwindows.com. All right, it's after further review. Fantasy Blitz with Darin Tietgen in 15 minutes from right now. So before you set your fantasy football roster as Week 3 gets underway tonight, Giants and Niners, make sure you check with our guys at whotostart.net. Darin Tietgen will be with us again in 15 minutes. Former Arkansas quarterback Quinn Grovey in hour number 2. We'll go up to Fayetteville. Quinn does an awesome job on the radio broadcast with the voice of the Hogs, Chuck Barrett. So looking forward to having Quinn with us. Quinn was a quarterback at Arkansas at the time when they ran the triple option. He's got so much knowledge and so much fun to talk to. So excited to have Quinn with us in about 45 minutes from right now. RC's with us in hour number 3. Mike Triplett's here in hour number 3. We'll give you a preview on Thursday Night Football. Otter Locks. I mean, we got so much. We're just wall-to-wall football. So we're glad to have you aboard with us here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Yesterday had lunch over at the Renaissance Hotel. Went and saw Nathaniel and Allison and Chef Jason and the crew over at Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel. And one of the things I've mentioned for quite some time now is Tallulah is the best kept secret in Baton Rouge. And I've said often the best kept secret in Baton Rouge won't be a secret much longer. Well, it is safe to say that the word is out on Tallulah. I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if you plan to have dinner at Tallulah, especially on the weekend, call for a reservation. Their reservations are, suffice to say, pretty significantly booked. So casual, upscale dining. Told you about the pork chop. So often you go to a restaurant, you don't think about ordering a pork chop. It's everything that Chef Jason does is chef curated. It's awesome. Told you that they won the gold medal at Fête Rouge, the Baton Rouge Epicurean Society, a couple of weeks ago. It's phenomenal. Check it out. Tallulah, inside the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scoocha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Hey, shout out Kim Mulkey. So see this yesterday? Louisiana Tech unveiled some statues immortalizing some of their most famous alums. Terry Bradshaw, Carl Malone, Willie Rove, Teresa Weatherspoon, and, of course, the great Kim Mulkey, who played point guard at Tech from 80 to 84. They won the first ever NCAA Division I Women's Basketball National Championship back in 1982. So she was a 2-time national champion as a player, and she won a national championship at Tech as an assistant coach. So she won 3 national titles during her time at Tech. And as a player and coach, they won like 88% of their games. So obviously her legacy is amazing. But I got to thinking about this. This is plausible, right? When it's all said and done, Kim Mulkey, she's got a statue. By the way, the statue at Baylor is awesome. Hat tip to whoever the artist was that did it. It's Kim Mulkey as a player. So the likeness is her dribbling with her left hand, kind of heading up court. And you know, the jerseys they wore back then had collars, which is kind of weird. But, I mean, I guess it was just the style of the time. But one of the things would you agree it's fair to say, like, the Kim Mulkey as a player, when you see the pictures, it's like her braided
pigtails,
hair.
yeah.
But the braids.
It's braids, like the braided pigtails.
Yeah, the braided pigtails.
For sure.
They nailed let me see, Paul. I'm going to try to zoom in. See if you can get, go full screen on it, Paulie. There it is. Like, look at the detail on the braided hair on a statue.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's pretty awesome.
No, I mean, that is well done. And you're right, the likeness in the face and everything is, I mean, that's, man. Sometimes when you see statues, you're like,
Like the Ronaldo statue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that just the one that we all will always default to?
Pretty much. Because, I mean, you know who he is and everything. But it's, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just kind of scratch your head and you're like, I don't really see how you got there. I mean, but it's normally like a signature pose or something, right? Where it makes sense. You can identify who it is, just not by the actual look. That looks like Kim Mulkey when she was at La Tech.
Here's the Ronaldo statue.
I mean, that's one of the worst things ever.
Ronaldo
The person who did that should never be allowed to make another statue or bust ever again.
I think I could do that.
Probably, yeah.
I took art in high school. I took like an art elective. Like I had to. And I'm the least artistic person. I can't draw. We had to do a clay duck. We're given a mold. We had to make a duck, and then fire. Like we had to do a duck.
I mean, yeah,
out of clay.
I don't have any experience with it, but sure, I can grasp what you're saying.
We had to put it in the fire or whatever to harden it, like to make it into almost like and I think it had to be like a pot. So we had to make a top where the top could come up. Anyway, my duck would be akin to the Ronaldo statue of ducks. Or the Ronaldo statue is the Moscona duck of statues, is what we'll call, or busts is what we'll call.
Doesn't even look like him. So I mean,
that is atrocious.
He's one of the most famous athletes in the world. But
my goodness,
kudos to the person who did the Kim Mulkey statue for not screwing it up like the person who did the Ronaldo one.
So the point I was getting to, though, after I really just derailed myself there because I thought the pigtail thing was pretty awesome. The braided pigtail thing was awesome. So salute to the artist. So Mulkey's got a statue at Tech. Eventually, Baylor is going to erect a Kim Mulkey statue. She won 3 national titles there as a coach. They have an RG3 statue already. I mean, Baylor football has done nothing. They got Mike Singletary and RG3. Like, that's it. They already got a RG3 statue. Like, they're gonna have a Kim Mulkey statue eventually. And my guess is she ain't done winning at LSU. Eventually, LSU will have a Kim Mulkey statue. They got one of Skip. They've got one of Sue Gunter in the concourse at the Maravich Center already. Like, eventually, I don't know when. There's other things to do, but they'll get there eventually in time. She's going to be like the only human that's going to have statues on 3 different campuses. Got to be, right? I mean, who else would even come close?
Yeah, I mean, nobody off the top of my head that I could even think of. And that's one of those things where that would immediately pop in your mind.
I would think like there's places, Alabama, for example, has their sort of rotunda or whatever they call it, where all the coaches that have won national champions, they got a statue. There's already a Saban statue up because if you win a championship, you got a statue. So I could see a day where LSU does that for its football coaches, where you'd have Paul Dietzel and Saban and Les Miles and Ed Ogeron, where you've got that version of that, right? I could see that happening. So Saban would have 2. Urban Meyer, Florida, Ohio State, potentially, if they ever try to do the same thing. 3?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's in that vein. What about Spurrier at South Carolina? Do you think they actually do that one day? Because I'd give him 2. The one at Florida for the Heisman Trophy. He's got his name on the field there. And, I mean,
He's the winningest coach ever at South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 straight 11-win seasons.
The weird thing about Spurrier at South Carolina, and this is only weird from my perspective outside looking in, right, is that they revere him way more than he cares.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, and I understand it.
He always views himself as a Gator. I mean, his name's on the field, right? And they don't have a statue at – they do for the Heisman.
For the Heisman, it's him as a player.
That's right. Which would be akin to the Mulkey deal statue. But I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina wanted to do it. But I remember, they had his likeness draped outside of Williams-Brice for a while, and they had offered him a job in the athletic department and stuff where he was going to be like an emeritus, whatever. And then Florida offered a job, so he was like, peace, going home. I mean, he just doesn't love them the way they love him.
I get that. I mean, and quite honestly, he shouldn't. He is a Gator.
No.
He played there. He coached there. He won national title there, a Heisman there. He is a Florida Gator.
It just sucks for South Carolina.
It does. I mean, yeah, it's
because the best part of your football history doesn't love you back.
Yeah, doesn't care.
And it's not even debate. I mean, I guess, George Rogers won a Heisman, so I guess we could say George Rogers. But George Rogers or Steve Spurrier, I mean, those are the 2 greatest individuals in the history of your football program. And Spurrier doesn't really care. Yeah. It's like, it's been real, but you were just kind of you were my summer fling. It's kind of what they were. I loved the golf. It was nice winning here. I'm going to head on home. All right. It's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Normally right there, we do Around the SEC. I got to get to Darin Tietgen, who to start. Of course, Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Okay. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. My apologies there. We will come back, talk to Darin Tietgen. Before you set your fantasy football roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net, who2start.net. You can get your questions in. You can hit us on Twitter or X. Twitter? X Twitter?
Hey, Twitter. Oh, no, not Twitter. Hey, X world.
Thank you, George. Bayou Ford YouTube chat or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Fantasy Blitz next.
AFR.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The victim who led to the chairman of the Police Civil Service Board's arrest is speaking out tonight, saying he's still being blackmailed by the man who was arrested. Tonight, he says his family's dream home is stuck in a state of disrepair, saddled with debt now and full of problems due to a contractor who was arrested this week for taking him for a ride. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whodostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whodostart.net.
King of the Who?
The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz, powered by whodostart.net.
All right, let's get it. Darin Tietgen joins us now. Get your fantasy football questions in before week 3 gets underway tonight. Darin, how are you, dude?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing awesome, man. Ready for week 3. I realized, Muse and Paulie and I were talking yesterday. I realized how much, I'm remembering how much I hate Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The only day we don't get football. So I'm glad Thursday's here and we get football. So let's dive into tonight. Giants, Niners, who are we looking at tonight?
Yeah, this should be kind of a ho-hum game. Obviously, with no Saquon Barkley, you're going to look at who's touching the ball for the Giants. Maybe a lot of Daniel Jones passing, but you're not going to want to pass against that Niners defense. So shouldn't be too much of a, Christian McCaffrey will get his. Brock Purdy's maybe a spot start, maybe a DFS spot start if you are looking for a value, but not much to look at tonight.
Sleepers this week?
Yeah, if you need a running back, obviously there's been a ton of running back injuries. The guy that we like this week at least, and maybe moving forward, is Jalen Warren from the Steelers. Najee Harris just doesn't look like himself. Warren looks like the better back at this point. Really love the matchup this week, so he's catching the ball out of the backfield, and he's a good play this week. Wide receiver wise, look for Jordan Addison to continue his 2-game scoring streak. He's got a touchdown in each of the past 2 games, got around 60 yards a game, 3 or 4 catches, maybe a little bit more this week against the Chargers.
All right, as always, we get your questions before you set your roster. Check with our guys at who2start.net, start.net. Let's get to it. Lenson says 10-team PPR. Who to start, Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow?
Yeah, you're going to have to make that decision before, obviously, Monday night, because my Burrow's playing Monday. Right now, it's up in the air, so I think you probably have to play Purdy unless something comes out in the next couple of hours that Burrow's cap is looking good.
Trey Simmons, who to start, Ravens defense against the Colts or Pittsburgh defense against the Raiders?
I think you go the Ravens there. It looks like it's probably going to be, even if it is Anthony Richardson, they're a good play. But if it's Gardner Minshew, it's even a bonus.
Rusty Ferreira says it's Dynasty, Superflex. He says I have Herbert, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, and Tua as the quarterbacks. He says I need a top wide receiver. Who should I be able to get if I trade Love or Purdy?
I think you probably try to trade Love. I'm not sure what you get out of Purdy. Even the super flex, where obviously it's where you start 2 quarterbacks. I wanted to flex, so I think you try to trade Love. You're probably going to get better value or a better wide receiver out of him. Maybe a guy like Devontae Adams, who's kind of in the twilight of his career. Maybe go younger, maybe a Romeo Dobbs. Something like that.
Kyle Milliken, who to start? Alexander Madison, Jerome Ford, or Javonte Williams?
I like what Ford is going to be putting out there. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, obviously, with Nick Chubb done for the year. Ford's going to touch the ball a lot until Kareem Hunt gets back up to speed. So I think this week you go with Ford.
Rolling along, Darin Tietgen's with us, who2start.net. Donovan Ardoin, who to start? He's got Dallas Goedert or Hunter Henry.
I think Goddard's the better play there, just the better offense. Henry is a decent play, but Goddard is just a better overall tight end at this point.
I got a receiver question here from Christopher Davis. Who to start PPR league? Who to start Michael Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, or Nico Collins?
Yeah, Nico Collins really looked good yesterday or last week, and the matchup for him pretty decent this week. As the number 1 wide receiver for a team like that, I think he's going to see a lot of targets. So I think you go Nico.
Jay with a question here about quarterbacks said who to start. He's got Jordan Love or Daniel Jones. Who to start?
Yeah, Jones is just a risky start tonight. That Niner defense is going to be on top of him, especially with no run game to support him behind him. So I think you go Jordan Love, who's looks pretty good, throwing the ball to some pretty just basic type of wide receivers. And once he gets his full complement of wide receivers, he should be even better.
See if we can sneak in a couple more here. PPR league, Derek Carr or Deshaun Watson. Who to start?
Watson looks just terrible. I can't see starting him. I mean, Carr is not a great start this week, but I think he's better than Watson.
Two more. Marcus Eunice says who to start, DeAndre Hopkins or Gabe Davis flex in the PPR league?
I think you're in the PPR format. I think this is a week that Hopkins gets you a few catches, maybe up to 5 catches this week. So I think he's a better play in PPR.
Jeff Babin, last one. Who to start, Burrow or Wilson?
Yeah, and until I hear some good things out of Cincinnati with Mr. Burrow, I'm going the opposite way.
He is Darin Tietgen, hoot2start.net. Personalized fantasy football advice, good enough to give us some freebies here every single Thursday. Darin, we appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy the football weekend.
You too. Thanks, Matt.
All right, man. Be well. Darin Tietgen again, hoot2start.net. Use the numeral 2. It's After Further Review brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Remember, I always say commercial or residential, that commercial roof coating product, half the cost of a roof replacement with a 20-year warranty. Learn more at HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HudcoRoofing.com. Hour number 2 next.
AFR.
Hey, every day I have the pleasure of telling you about the Williamson Eye Center and the great work that Dr. Blake Williamson does. As a matter of fact, was texting earlier today on the show text line with a gentleman by the name of Ryan. I'm looking for it. Of course, I can't find it. But it was basically did what I've suggested for years. He was worried about eye surgery. I said, just go for the consultation. Went with Dr. Blake. Went for the consultation. Feels awesome about it. Going to proceed. And I always recommend that. But our friends at the Williamson Eye Center are also very community-oriented as well. And Dr. Blake is actually a very big music fan. And the Williamson Eye Center is the sponsor, the presenting sponsor of the Federalis Fest coming up on October the 7th in Baton Rouge. A limited number of tickets. It's at Live Oak Arabians on Jefferson in Baton Rouge. And they're only selling 1,000 tickets. So learn more. Get your tickets at federalisfest.com. That's Federales Fest.com. Presented by the Williamson Eye Center.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. ESPN's Todd Archer reports Cowboys corner Trayvon Diggs tore his left ACL in practice today. He's expected to miss the rest of the season. Diggs signed a 5-year, $97 million contract extension during training camp. The 49ers host the Giants to kick off NFL Week 3 tonight. Giants running back Saquon Barkley out with a right ankle sprain. 49ers wideout Brandon Ayuk not expected to play with a shoulder injury. Bears GM Ryan Poles says quarterback Justin Fields is not pointing fingers and that the team is not panicking. This after Fields made comments about the coaching staff Wednesday in the wake of the team's 0-2 start. ESPN's Damian Woody.
Young man is frustrated. I get it, man. But damn, like, you can't throw your coaching staff under the bus, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, you just – it's going to be hard to come back from that, to be honest with you.
Damian Woody on Unsportsmanlike. The Bears play the Chiefs in Kansas City on Sunday.
When it comes to hiring, you don't need to be doing all the searching, screening, and interviewing yourself. What you need is Indeed, the end-to-end solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. We're heading up to Fayetteville in 15 minutes. Our buddy Quinn Grovey, former Arkansas quarterback, now on the Arkansas radio broadcast. He'll be with us to take a closer look at the Hogs as we inch closer to LSU and Arkansas, about 48 hours away from Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. One of the things that we've talked about a bit here in the last several months is the feeling that Saints fans may have about Sean Payton in Denver. Did we run this as a poll maybe a few weeks ago? If Saints fans are cheering for Sean Payton,
I ran one earlier this week. How do you feel about? Are you happy that they're 0-2? Yes or no?
What was the result?
It was overwhelmingly yes.
Yeah, people are.
People are.
I'm a little surprised. Why aren't people cheering for Sean Payton in Denver?
I don't know. That's why I kind of put it as the poll. I was interested to see what it was. I guess because they just feel jilted. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
They're not jilted.
I mean, I agree.
He stepped aside. A lot of people were okay with it at the time when he stepped aside. He came back in. You got compensation for him coming back into the league. He's in the AFC, not the NFC. I don't understand. I guess the only comp I have is when Saban left LSU to go to the Dolphins. People here still cheered for Nick Saban. I remember vividly going to that game in Tiger Stadium in 2005 when the Dolphins came. People cheered for Nick Saban and the Dolphins in Tiger Stadium. Like, I'm perplexed. I'm not saying there's a good, a bad, or right or wrong. I'm just curious, like, why people aren't cheering for Sean Payton's success. I am. I mean, I want Sean Payton to win a lot of games, and I want to see him go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day, and that would be a great honor for the New Orleans Saints. And I pull for Sean Payton, I guess. I want to see him do well. I also picked the Denver Broncos to be a wildcard team this year, so I'd kind of like to have that cosign as well. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm still pulling for him. But I heard this today. So they're 0-2, and they've lost a couple of games in heartbreaking fashion. They blew a big lead, and then you saw what happened the other day where they hit the Hail Mary and then missed the 2-point conversion on what was a brutal no call on a PI. Sound familiar? On the 2-point conversion. But anyway, the Broncos are 0-2, and this week they're in the news because apparently Sean Payton is having to simplify the play calls for Russell Wilson. Here's what Sean Payton explained. Here's what Sean Payton said earlier this week.
Happy balance of getting it in fast, but then also getting it called to the line. And I'm sure we were a little bit heavy relative to the length of some of the plays. Yeah, we always have a wristband for certain. There are certain plays that are going to be longer, and I'll just say, Russ, let's run 2, or let's flip 2. We're on the left hash or right hash, and so hindsight last week, there's probably about 4 or 5 plays that would have been easier if they were wristbanded, but we can still reduce the verbiage.
Anyway, if you've ever heard coaches or players call a play in the NFL, it's mind-boggling. Gruden, when Gruden was doing TV, he was great on TV, obviously, and that's no commentary whatsoever on what Gruden did. They got him fired at the Raiders. It's just a matter of an opinion of how he was on TV. And one of the things he did was he was very engaging in how he conveyed and built a bridge from locker room, coach, whatever, to the audience on TV. And he would do that. The red 9 laser over will go, just all the verbiage calling a play. And when you hear that, you understand how much nuance there is in everything, where you're calling formation, when you're calling routes for protections, blocking, audibles, whatever it may be. And so I guess the fact that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton maybe aren't on the same page yet has raised some antennas. I think there's a lot of people that are cheering maybe for Russell Wilson to fail. But I remember when Peyton started in New Orleans with Breeze. Now, understanding as well, at the beginning, Breeze wasn't 100% yet, but I was thinking back to 2006. So I was thinking about Peyton's first year in New Orleans. And the Saints started 2-0 that year. They beat Cleveland and Green Bay on the road. They actually put their first 3 on the road before they came home for the Monday night game in 2006 against Atlanta. Wait, do I have this wrong? Am I looking at the wrong season? Am I looking at this wrong? I'm looking at the regular season from 2006. They don't have the Monday night game on here on Breeze's stats.
Well, he definitely played in that game. Like he 100% was there.
I'm not. I'm looking at ESPN.com. They have that game omitted. Look at my screen.
It's a little rude.
They have the game.
Pretty important game
19-14 win against Cleveland, 34-27 win against Green Bay, and then the next one is the loss to Carolina, 21-18. They have omitted the Monday Night Football game against Atlanta.
Well, no, wait, I'm looking at it right here. It's on my schedule right here. Monday, September 25th, 23-3.
Look at my screen. Look, this is ESPN.com. Drew Brees' game log from 2006. Look.
That is really strange.
Look, Paul, pull it up. Cleveland, Green Bay, then Carolina on October 1st. They've omitted the Monday Night Football game in Week 3.
Yeah, fix that.
Anyway, the point being, the only point I was trying to make here was Breeze had kind of a slow start. Week 1, they won at Cleveland, but he was 16 of 30 for 170 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. It wasn't that great. They played in Green Bay, and he threw for a ton of yards. He threw for 353, but he threw 41 passes. It wasn't a great day. And then the game they lost in Carolina, again, they only put up 18 points. He threw for 349 because he threw it 38 times. Then it was 171 and a win against Tampa with a touchdown and no picks. It wasn't great until they got kind of to the middle, like late October. He threw for 383 against Baltimore, 314 against Tampa, 398 against Pittsburgh, 510 against Cincinnati, 349 against Atlanta. Like, he really got rolling when they got into mid-late October. So I'm a little curious to see if maybe this year in Denver, the Broncos don't follow a similar path to how Breeze did that first year in New Orleans, where it took him a little while to kind of get going offensively, and then in the middle of the season, you really start him hit his stride with he and Peyton. He started putting up a lot of the gaudy numbers. So just file that away, something worth keeping an eye on. 2 weeks in, I'm not sure I would overreact because we kind of saw that 15 years or 17 years ago. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Of course, if you are going to be watching game night on Thursday Night Football, it's always more fun when you got a little action on the game. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers, use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 NFL bet, and they'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly at the DraftKings Sportsbook. And this football season, everybody can get in on the action, new or existing customers. Remember, every game day, this September, everybody has great new offers. So you got to check the app every game day. I just opened it, like right there at the top of the home screen. Thursday night, 50% boost. You get a 50% profit boost for any Giants-Niners bet tonight. You got to opt in. All the terms are there as well, so make sure you check that. Opt in on the DraftKings Sportsbook in every single game day throughout September. They got great specials, so check them out right now. They also, look at that. They got a no-sweat bet as well. Oh, you got to check it out. Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Opt in for those great game day specials as well at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, it's After Further Review. We will talk to Ryan Clark next hour. And our buddy Mike Triplett will be here in hour number 3 as well. We'll go up to Fayetteville, talk to Quinn Grovey, former Arkansas quarterback and part of the Arkansas Radio Network. We'll check in on the Hogs before they head down to Baton Rouge this weekend for a game against LSU. Our what to watch in about 15 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about ProCharge EV. ProChargeEV.com, electric vehicle chargers for your home or your commercial building. ProChargeEV.com. ProCharge is a local company. They're right here in Baton Rouge. And they're a distributor for NLX, which is actually an Italian company, the #1 electric vehicle charger in the world. So you're dealing with a local company that's also partnered with the #1 EV charging company in the world. It's ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Go to the website, scroll down. You see the form you can fill out to get more information. But the bottom line is this, y'all. If you own a business, a commercial building, you got to have EV chargers. I told you a story. There's a medical group in town that called ProCharge, and they installed a bunch of EV chargers at their clinic because a handful of their doctors all drive Teslas. So they need EV chargers. Well, here you go. Amenity for your employees, amenity for your customers, a revenue generator. Tap to pay options are available. It's ProCharge. ProChargeEV.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
We're going to get Arkansas's best. Certainly, I just say, hey, put yourself in Arkansas's shoe. If we didn't play well against Mississippi State, you can imagine the paint would be peeling off the walls in this building, and our expectations would be, through practice and how we prepare, and we would be coming out, ready to play, and that's going to be the case with Arkansas. So we're going to get their very best, and we're going to have to match and exceed that.
Brian Kelly talking about the challenge. Arkansas coming off the BYU loss, now coming into Baton Rouge. Quinn Grovey, former Arkansas quarterback, now part of the Arkansas radio network, alongside, of course, Chuck Barrett, the longtime voice of the Hogs. Quinn's with us now. Quinn, great to have you back, man. How are you?
Matt Moscona, what's going on, my man? It's good to be on your show again.
Hey, man, it's always great to hear your voice, and I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Man, give me just a feeling, finger on the pulse, what it's been like this week, coming off a really disappointing loss against BYU, where, quite honestly, Quinn, the Hogs let one get away on Saturday up there.
Yeah, and before I jump into that, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Greg Brooks and his family. I know he's going through some things, and we're praying for him over here in Arkansas as well. And I know you guys are over there. So,
absolutely.
We'll continue to pray for him. But, yeah, we let one get away. Now, when you look at the game, Matt, Sam has wanted this football team to start quickly. And that's what they did. They got out on them 14-0. And this was really one of the weird games I've seen in my career of doing football games, is because of the number of runs. It was almost like a basketball game. It's like Arkansas comes out and gets 14. BYU gets 21. Arkansas comes back and gets 10. BYU gets 14. It's just like, it was just a game of runs right there. And usually I'll say a great football team will respond. So BYU did respond. Arkansas responded. But to give up a 14-point lead right off the bat, and then give up a 10-point lead, 31-21 in the second half, at home when you got a packed house, that's very difficult to swallow, knowing that you're staring a 4-game, basically road trip in the face. You got to get every one of those that you can get, and they definitely let one get away.
Quinn, just kind of ear to ground, listening at what the conversation's been like there at Arkansas, it feels like a lot of the questions are surrounding this offensive line for Arkansas. Can you kind of break that down for me? What's going on there with the O-line with the Hogs?
Well, I think it's a combination of a couple of different things. One, I think it's the fact that the first two games, Western Carolina and Kent State, Arkansas really didn't deploy its entire run game. What I mean by that, they tried to run, basic inside zone, outside zone, G power with the running back. Arkansas's run game is really difficult because when you insert K.J. Jefferson into the game, into the run game, you can go from that power type stuff to finesse really quickly. And where that works well is against a guy like a Harold Perkins. I mean, you got to sometimes let him make him play responsibility football instead of just see ball, get ball.
Yeah.
And, so I think Arkansas really just loaded up and said, hey, we're going to run the football without KJ. Well, Western Carolina overcommitted and, stopped the run. Kent State really didn't overcommit. They just did a good job of stopping us. And, but yeah, you got some things you're trying to work through on this offensive line. They have not gelled away probably Sam and Cody Kennedy, the offensive line coach wants. So there are some things that I know we're concerned about over here, but we feel like we've got a great coach in Sam Pittman. If there's one area that he can cheer up, it's going to be the offensive line, and I think they'll be able to do that. I mean, part of it too, Matt, is this new offensive scheme that they're trying to do with Dan Enos, but Sam is all about trying to get back to being very, very physical. And the one thing I always say is, I don't care if it's Western Carolina or Kent State, and if they overcommit to the run, you got to be able to run the football when people think you are going to run it or know you're going to run it. Yeah. But I get more concerned about, short yardage and red zone opportunities trying to run the ball, and you're not running it extremely well. So I think that those are the things. If you had to think about all the things in the run game, I think the biggest thing Sam would tell you is we still have to get better at short yardage, and we got to get better at running the football inside the 10 on the goal line.
Do you expect Rocket Sanders to play? And if so, what's a realistic expectation for what he could do coming off the knee injury?
Man, I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, my gut tells me I don't think you'll see him, but that doesn't mean anything. Sam and all those guys, they really have the answers to that. But my gut says he's probably not going to play. I mean, look, playing against a team like LSU, you need to be able to protect yourself. I mean, it's hard out there. It's rough out there. And so if he can't run the football, be effective, and protect himself, I don't think you'll see him. So that means, A.J. Green, Rashad Dubinion, Dominique Johnson, those guys are going to have to step up in a big way. But I think the way they're going to offset that, and there's not going to be any question. There's not going to be any question who's going to be the leading ball carrier in this game, and it's going to be K.J. Jefferson for Arkansas.
Quinn Grovey's with us. By the way, on Twitter, at Quinn Grovey4. Give him a follow. Former Arkansas quarterback's in the Arkansas Hall of Fame. Look, you know good and well what it's like as a quarterback to carry the football. If you would kind of look, we didn't get to see KJ last year, right? I mean, that was a Malik Hornsby game. KJ was a late scratch. All week, weren't sure if he's going to play. How much? It's an obvious question, but maybe you can go into some nuance here. How much does the dynamic of the game change with KJ out there?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything for this football team. It's not only everything for the offense; it's everything for the defense. He's the one guy that really connects with everybody on the team. So you got to have it. I mean, you could see last year. I mean, anytime he went out of the game, it was trouble, and that's why I think one of the biggest acquisitions that Sam got this offseason was the fact that he was able to get Jacoby Criswell to come from North Carolina as KJ's backup at the quarterback position. And this is a guy that can actually win you some football games. So we feel good about that if KJ had to go out, but we don't want that to happen. I mean, everything is so much better, the confidence, the rhythm. And KJ is so smart. His football IQ is really, really off the charts. And Dan Enos puts him in situations where he's doing a lot of pre-snap stuff at the line of scrimmage. He's doing a lot of post-snap stuff as well. But it's a little bit different than what he was doing with Kendall Browse. Kendall was, making all the alerts and checks. You would see the team stop for a second, turn to the sideline, get the play. They don't do that nearly as much. And KJ has a whole lot more control and a lot more autonomy to make plays happen in what he sees. The only thing about it right now, and I had to go through this too, is my senior year, I had to learn a new offense. And I don't care. I don't care how it happens. It's very difficult to learn a new offense and put it together and have success early. Now, I mean, a guy like Shadur Sanders is debunking that theory, but when you have terminology that's different, you've got to be able to walk into that huddle with confidence and be able to, call those plays out and believe them and be able to get them right and not be stumbling and fumbling over your words and thinking about a lot of things. So I do believe the newness of the offense has led to the offense's slow start. But with that, I think the defense has really picked up in a big way. The defense is much better than it's been in the last couple of years, and they have been very opportunistic. They've created turnovers. They've created short fields. They've created lost yardage plays. So I think you're going to see a defense that, for the first time, I think we've got too deep on the defensive front. We've got some athletic linebackers, and we brought in influx of talent in the secondary. They're good. I know they gave up 38 to BYU, but I promise you, BYU had a short field. They were able to take advantage of some things that Arkansas let them 15 penalties, 16 penalties, whatever it was. But yeah, it's an opportunity for this defense to really help this offense out. And they've got to do what they've done all season: create turnovers and create a short field for an offense that is not hitting on all cylinders.
Quinn, I'll go to the defense in a second, but one more on offense since you brought up Dan Enos. What is the most noticeable difference in what Arkansas does offensively with Enos as opposed to Kendall Briles?
Well, when you look at that, it's more of Dan Enos' bubble screen game, or his screen game in general. He'll run a bunch of bubbles. He'll run a bunch of tunnels. When the run game is not working, they will use that as an extension of the run game. And so I just think his screen game is off the charts. I think he finds a way to utilize his personnel. You'll see Arkansas in more 12 personnel, which is one running back and two tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I think that those are really the two biggest differences that you'll see. We thought we were going to see KJ on the center a whole lot more. We really haven't seen a whole lot of that. But I think the 12 personnel is really trying to find an advantage in the run game. And that goes back to the philosophy Sam's talking about, just really trying to be physical. And when you run those two tight ends out there, you force the defense to really make a decision. Am I going to come in here and try to play with a lighter DB, or am I going to bring in a linebacker to really try to stop a tight end? And then now you've got to really think about what are you going to do to that linebacker in pass coverage. So that's really one of the key advantages that he's looking at. And those are the two things that I see the most.
Quinn Grovey's with us. A couple more on Twitter at Quinn Grovey4. Y'all give him a follow. Does a great job talking Hogs. Of course, he's the color analyst on the radio broadcast there for Arkansas, being Tiger Stadium Saturday. Defensively, I think it's well documented the struggles that the secondary had a year ago for Arkansas. But I look at the defensive front, I see a whole bunch of really veteran college football players. Is that the key, Quinn, for Arkansas defensively on Saturday? It's stop the run, contain Jaden Daniels, and make him throw?
Yeah, I believe I think that's probably the MO for every defensive coordinator that's playing against LSU. I know Jaden Daniels had a great game against Mississippi State, and I don't know if Mississippi State has guarded Neighbors yet. I mean, he was just absolutely roasting that cat in the slot. I mean, it was. I was like, are y'all going to let him continue to run this slot phase? How many times is he going to be able to do this? And they just kept letting it happen, and they just kept firing it over us. But, it feels like Jaden Daniels is starting to get back on track. I don't know what happened to him in the Florida State game, but they know that he is going to carry the football. And I think both defenses have to deal with similar things in KJ and Jaden Daniels. You know that quarterback is going to be heavily involved in the run game, and they're very effective in the pass game, and how do you deal with that? My question is, Jaden Daniels, can he, and this is a question for you, Matt, I mean, can he sustain running the football the way he has? I think he was LSU's leading ball carrier last year.
Yeah.
And at 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is, and not very big, he's taking some shots, man, and he's the leading ball carrier for LSU again. I just wonder if LSU can really sustain that.
I don't know, man. You did it. You tell me. I mean, you're a better person to answer that question. I
mean, I don't know. He seems to be a little light, but he seems to know how to protect himself. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on that. But
Quinn, he did last year. So much of that was out of necessity because the offensive line was bad and they didn't have a solid running game. I think they're trying to pick their spots on when they call his number. You know what I mean? As opposed to when he tucks it and tries to make something happen. But the thing he's got to do, Quinn, dude's got to get down. He has taken two massive shots this year.
Yeah.
One against Florida State and one last week where he was decleated near the sidelines. Like, man, go out of bounds. Get down, go out of bounds. So for a veteran player, you would think that's understood, but that's one thing, man. They got to stress to that dude. Get down.
Yeah, that's what I look at. And when I was watching their very first game, I was just like, man, this cat is taking shot after shot, and I'm surprised that he's getting up every single time. So obviously he's pretty tough and really good at what he does. So that's a lot of carries. He's taking a lot of shots. So hopefully he can hang in there.
He's got to go down, man. Slide, man. Slide. All right, before you go, what is for Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks? Like, they're a big underdog in this game. We all know that. What is the blueprint for Arkansas to come pull the upset? How would the game have to look?
Well, I think for Arkansas's offense, I think the first thing I would ask, and I was screaming at the TV when I was watching LSU play Florida State, is where's Harold Perkins? And are they going to let him do what he does, or are they going to have him be one of the best safeties in the country? I mean, they're going to have him playing pass coverage so much. I was wondering what they were doing with that. But if they turn him loose, they got to have a plan for him. And so you got to have a snap count plan for him. You got to have a pass protection plan for him, meaning knowing how to slide protection or have a back or tight end chip, because he disrupted us to the point where he almost single-handedly beat us last year. Yep. And so you got to have a plan for him. And you've also got to run directly at him. So offensively, that's one thing, having a plan for Harold Perkins. And then KJ has got to be able to try to stretch the secondary for LSU. I think they've got some folks out there that, you don't have a Greg Brooks out there. So I think that's maybe the weakness of this team from what I've seen. And so if Arkansas can find a way to try to stretch that secondary, because they're going to have chunk plays. 16 plays for 75 yards is going to be very, very difficult to do. So you're going to have chunk plays in field position. So I think you've got to be able to do that. And then I think you got to see KJ with 15 to 20 carries. They do that on offense, they're good. Or they're going to have a chance. I won't say they're good. Mm-hmm. But then defensively, this defense front has been good, from a tackles for loss perspective. So they've got to be able to create lost yardage plays. So winning on first down, in my opinion, is going to be very, very critical for them, because it is putting Jaden Daniels in obvious passing situations. But then they got to make sure when they do that, they can't let him out of it with his legs. And so LSU's got a boatload of talent, and you just got to make sure you watch Neighbors and the rest of those guys.
Somebody's got to cover 8, man. They didn't do it. Yeah. They didn't do it last week, bro.
Yeah. No.
He is Quinn Grovey on Twitter at Quinn Grovey4. Y'all give him a follow. Former Hog quarterback, does a great job on the Arkansas Radio Network. Hey, man, we appreciate it. Hope I get to see you this weekend when y'all come in town, man.
All right, my man, Matt. I appreciate you.
All right, be well. Quinn Grovey, one of the best. Always appreciate a couple minutes from him. It's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break here. We'll come back. Muse, Paulie, and I will give you our what to watch. 3 things to watch this football weekend, both college and pro. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Had a great lunch today with my friends over at River City's 1 Hour Air. Matt and Paul and I, not this Matt and Paul from River City's 1 Hour Air. Went over to Ichiban, had a great lunch. I always love chatting with those guys. And every time I do, one thing that always stands out, it's the level of customer service. And it never fails. I always hear stories like this. And Matt Rick over at River City's 1 Hour was telling me the story. I had a customer recently who called another company, not licensed or insured, spent $8,200 to replace a couple of parts. The installation was done very poorly and did not fix the issue. As a matter of fact, the homeowner could not get that company to come back out to look at their work. So River City's 1 Hour Air had to come behind them, fix it, and ultimately they have more work. That family's going to end up spending about $30,000 to undo the bad work and do it right. Get it done right the first time. Trust a reputable company with thousands of 5-star Google reviews. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, glad you're hanging out with us here. Been a good show so far. Ryan Clark in 23 minutes from right now. Looking forward to that. Talk some LSU secondary. I'm not sure if you saw on social media, but RC earlier today did go visit Greg Brooks at the hospital. So I'll ask him. I'll ask him what that was like. And Mike Triplett next hour as well. We'll talk some Saints. So glad to have you aboard with us here. Okay, every Thursday, Muse, Pauly, and I tell you 3 things we're keeping an eye on this football weekend, college, NFL. And then on Monday, we come back and let you know how it all went. So let's lay it out.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
All right, Muse, start us off.
All right, so at 11 a.m. on Saturday, Auburn is going to visit Texas A&M. This game is interesting for a multitude of different reasons. Auburn's SEC opener. It's Hugh Freeze's return to the SEC. They're playing Texas A&M, who has their own question marks on the season with Jimbo and Bobby Petrino and all that jazz. I am very interested in Auburn, though. How do they get started in SEC play? They went on the road to Cal, got tested. It wasn't great for them there. Peyton Thorne has been good at quarterback. He hasn't been great. The question, or the conversation I should say with Auburn really all offseason was, can they get to 7 or 8 wins? If they're going to do that, this is a game that's circled, and it's on the road in College Station. I'm very, very interested to see how they perform.
Who do you think wins?
I think Texas A&M wins the football game.
Okay. Pauly.
Another game at 11 a.m. I'll be watching is
what
Florida
a good
State
slate this weekend.
Clemson.
It's fantastic.
God, we finally have a great slate. Go ahead, Pauly. Sorry.
Florida State Clemson. Clemson's pretty much playing for their season right now. Them and Florida State were preseason favorites to win this conference. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get off the schneid
Schneid.
Yeah.
Are they on the Schneid?
They will be if they lose.
That's true. Will they go to the Schneid?
Fire Dabo.
Can they stay off the Schneid? I don't think they're going to fire Dabo. But Dabo, isn't it funny, though, how whenever Dabo made his comments about the transfer portal and NIL and all that sort of stuff, it's like, you ain't playing ball, brother. You ain't winning. That's how it goes. So every week, I told you, watching Iowa's offense.
Who do they have this week? Who's Iowa?
Why
they have Penn State.
Oh, it's Penn, that's right. It's Penn State.
That's not going to go well for Iowa's offense.
Take the under. Yeah. The total in the game is 40. 40! An Iowa game?
Yeah.
That's an auto play, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the under in any Iowa game should be.
I mean, Iowa's offense isn't going to do a damn thing, and they got a great defense, which, I mean, I'll be curious to see what Alar, the Penn State kid, does, but isn't that an auto play? Penn State, Iowa, under 40, it's got to be. Yeah. But then we're going to keep an eye on Iowa's offense. Remember, they got to average 25 a game. Right now, they're slightly above after their explosion last week of 41.
41.
So they're at like 27 right now. Got to average 25 a game. That ain't going to happen.
No, it's not going to go well for them.
We're going to watch Iowa.
I'm going to jump to the NFL here and then come back to college from the last one. We'll go to the NFL. Vikings-Chargers. It's a matchup of 0-2 teams. You might say, well, that's boring. Well, actually, it's not because Brandon Staley for the Chargers can't really afford an 0-3 start. The seat's already hot. He goes 0-3 after losing to a previously winless team. The heat's going to get turned up even more on him. You look at the Vikings on the other side, a lot of people picked them to win that division, myself included. Right now, it looks like the Lions to lose. The Vikings haven't been able to do anything on the ground. They get Cam Akers. He passes physical today. What can he actually give you in that ball game? There's a lot of intrigue in that one. So I'm keeping an eye on the battle of the winless teams, Vikings-Chargers.
Moderately surprised that the Rams traded Akers.
Yeah, a little bit.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Holly.
So I am watching Jerome Ford. You might be asking, who in the world is Jerome Ford? Well, he's now the Cleveland Browns starting running back. Obviously, Nick Chubb's out for the season. They re-signed Kareem Hunt, I believe it was yesterday or this morning or something like that. But Kevin Stefanski said Ford is the number one back. So he was a fifth-round pick in 2022. He's only got 31 career carries in the NFL so far with 0 touchdowns. So we'll see what he can do.
He was on the Cincinnati Bearcats team that made the playoff.
I believe was he really?
Yeah, he was their running back. Jerome Ford. Yeah. So Mike Denbrock coached him.
Okay.
And Mike Denbrock coached let's keep an eye on, well, since none of you have mentioned, I'll do my NFL one last. And neither of you mentioned Bama Ole Miss. I mean, it's so fascinating. There's the Lane Saban intrigue. Lane's out there throwing out these barbs that Kevin Steele isn't actually coaching the defense or calling the defensive plays. Nick Saban debunks it. Lane doubles down on it. Lane's all over Twitter like Lane is always all over Twitter in this one. I watched Ole Miss's offensive line get ragdolled by Tulane. I don't know that it's going to be much better against Bama, but the flip side of it is I don't know if Alabama can score. So if Alabama loses this game and has 2 losses before you get to October, and that's 2 home losses before you get to October, get ready for the unraveling of this season in Tuscaloosa. The flip side of it is, now that there's no question about Buckner, Ty Simpson anymore, it's Milroe. They can maybe go do the things that Milroe does really well. Maybe Bama can find a way to maximize itself this season. Fascinating game in Tuscaloosa, 2:30 on CBS. Get your popcorn ready.
Hashtag fire saving.
Hashtag popcorn.
So, obviously, the matchup everyone's going to be watching in college football is the only top 10 matchup of the week, and that is Ohio State and Notre Dame. Earlier in this segment, the year, I mentioned Sam Hartman and what they've done with the offense there and what he's done with the offense there at Notre Dame. Now they welcome in Ohio State. While Ohio State's offense with Colin McCord hadn't been great, their defense has been really good. This is going to be a great test for Notre Dame and Sam Hartman to see really where he is. It was one thing to go on the road and do it at NC State. It's a good physical defensive program there. But welcoming in Ohio State, who's been a power and was in the playoff last year, is something different. I'm very, very intrigued to see. This could launch Sam Hartman for Heisman into another stratosphere this weekend. And I think Notre Dame wins that football game.
I agree.
so there probably won't be much to watch, but I'm going to attempt to watch the Chicago Bears offense.
Why would you do that?
It could be coaching.
I'm going to watch
You're
Justin
so
Fields.
stupid. Why would you do that?
Because Justin Fields made comments earlier this week saying he needs to play better. He was thinking too much. He felt robotic, and he said it could be because of coaching. He then had to go back and clarify those comments. The Bears just looked awful through 2 weeks, and they played Kansas City this weekend, so they could go to 0-3. It's going to be ugly.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to see if he can fix anything.
Thought about throwing out the winless teams to see who could get off the schneid, but instead I take it the other way, and I'm going to look at the 9 teams that have started 2-0, see who's for real. Run through them real quick. Dallas, Miami, San Fran, Baltimore, Philly. They all feel real.
Yeah.
Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa,
no.
Commanders.
No.
So it's 5 that feel real, then the NFC South and the Commanders. The cream is going to rise in the NFC South, and this could be the weekend where we see it. So let's keep an eye on the teams that have started 2-0. And when we're sitting here on Monday, how much closer are the 72 Dolphin morons to popping their champagne bottles? You're as disgusted by that as I am.
Stupidest tradition in all of sports.
Idiots.
Stupidest tradition in all of sports.
That's a bit of hyperbole, Muse. I don't know that we'd say it's
all
the
of
stupidest
sports.
in all of sports. Muse loves hyperbole. I do not. Of the stupidest tradition in all of sports. It is, however, a stupid tradition. You and I agree on that wholeheartedly. Old men.
The Patriots won 17 games.
They won more games than you did.
Go to hell, 72 Dolphins.
No.
Yeah.
They won 18 games.
Yeah.
The 72 Dolphins were 17-0. The Patriots were 18-0 and lost
That's
in Super
true.
Bowl 18-1.
Yeah, that's true.
I know that's true.
So, other way around. I shorted them a game. Sorry. The point remains the same. Somebody beat your record already.
It's after further review. Muse is salty over there. I tell you what. I found the person, the singular person who hates the 72 Dolphins popping champagne more than I do.
It's just so dumb.
It is so dumb. I agree. I hate it. I've talked about it for years. And it's always Mercury Morris. He's always the one in the front. Actually, did he pass?
I don't know.
I think he died.
I don't know.
Did I just kill Mercury Morris on the air? I think he might have died. Hang on. But he's always the one.
Oh.
Rip Mercury Morris.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Oh, no, he's alive. He's 76.
So there you go.
He's not dead yet.
Don't rip Mercury
rip.
Morris. But quit popping champagne.
But he's always the one it's someone recently from that team. One of the notables from that team recently passed. Anyway. Mercury Morris, happy to report, very much alive.
Very alive.
Very alive. But I hope he doesn't pop champagne. The Saints are going all the way to the black and gold Super Bowl. Undefeated. 19-0. Let's do it. All right, it's after further. Actually, it would be 20-0 now. So that the fact that they've added another game basically just makes it even more difficult to ever see anybody go undefeated. Stupid Dolphins. It's after further review.
AFR.
Y'all get on by Clegg's Nursery, any of the 4 locations. Great time of year. Of course, if you're a green thumb, they've got Johnny Naylor seeds. Get those seeds in the ground. Start planting that fall vegetable garden. You want your fall bedding plants, all the earth tones, the oranges and the browns and the greens. They got a great selection of the fall bedding plants. And all of the fall and Halloween decor is there. Pumpkins, hay bales, squash, gourds, scarecrows, corn stalks. They've got it all at Clegg's Nursery. So if you want to decorate that front porch, the back patio, inside your home, at the office, Clegg's can help you do it. Also, remember, for all the deer hunters, they got buckbusters and mow bucks and rice bran and deer corn. So make sure you get by and see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Fall is here, y'all. Celebrate with all the great decor at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The victim who led to the chairman of the Police Civil Service Board's arrest is speaking out tonight, saying he's still being blackmailed by the man who was arrested. Tonight, he says his family's dream home is stuck in a state of disrepair. saddled with debt now and full of problems due to a contractor who was arrested this week for taking him for a ride. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Get 3.99% financing on select 2023 models at Corvell Toyota in Opelousas. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Muse, stop yelling about the 72 Dolphins. I hate them too, but you're actually making me resent the conversation.
You got me going.
You're
on
making
that.
me want to like the 72 Dolphins.
No, I'm not.
Stop.
You got me going on that there.
You said they're not the best team of all time.
They're not.
Every list has the 72 Dolphins as the best team.
Because they went undefeated. Yeah.
Yes, because they did.
Yeah, 5 years after the NFL merger. Man, so much tougher in 72 than it was in 07 or 2018
How many other teams
now.
did it? How many other teams did it?
I don't know, none. Because it got more difficult.
How many teams did it before then?
None. But it got progressively more difficult, is the point.
Yeah, so all those teams that went undefeated during that really easy era to win.
The 72 Dolphins stink. They stink.
72 Dolphins stink. Clip it. Clip
it. I'll clip it.
Clip it.
They do.
They don't stink. They're
stink.
a great team. They're a Super Bowl champion. They're undefeated. I just think it's nauseating these old men continue to pop champagne. I'm not challenging their legitimacy.
I'll do it.
I just think it's annoying. Tigers in the pros. Hurry up. Go.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Paulie,
Presented by Lee
camera?
Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Damn it.
Could the 2023 Houston Texans beat the 72 Dolphins? Maybe, but they'd have to do it probably without Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley could be set to go on injured reserve. That comes from Aaron Wilson of Channel 2 in Houston. Of course, that means he has to miss at least 4 games on IR there. But he suffered a hamstring injury in practice yesterday, so Stingley's got a hamstring. We'll see. He's played so far the first 2 weeks. Had 6 tackles in their last game. Moving along here. Major League Baseball last night. Kevin Gausman, 6 shutout innings against the Yankees. Gave up 3 hits. Did walk 3, but punched out 10 in that ballgame. Threw 104 pitches, 63 of them for strikes. Kevin Gausman feels like one of the only pitchers left in the major leagues that goes over 100 pitches. For what it's worth, King for the Yankees did it last night too. DJ LeMahieu with a collar 0 for 4. Cam Sanders closed out the Iowa Cubs victory last night. 1 shutout inning of relief there. Didn't walk or strike out anybody, but also didn't give up a hit or run, so he was perfect in that aspect. And we'll wrap it up here. Michael Papierski. Pap 2 for 4 last night with a run scored in that ball game. Both of his hits were singles. 272. They have played him all over the field. Last night, he was at first base. That's Tigers in the pros.
The 72 Dolphins.
You like that?
I just tweeted that quote attributed to one Matthew Musa.
Dude, I stand by it.
Put it on his tombstone.
Well, there could be more important things to go there.
No way. That will define your career, friend. And vis-a-vis, it will define your life. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge goes to get engaged. All right, hour number 3. Ryan Clark joins us next.
AFR.
I wonder if RC thinks the 72 Dolphins. I'm going to ask him if he thinks the 72 Dolphins stink. All right. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. As a matter of fact, got my cool Shawbills hat right here on the set. Actually, really dig this hat a lot. A lot of compliments on this hat. ShawBillsTire.com. Hey, look, name brand tires at wholesale prices. That's what Shawbills does. They're going to sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible, and they're going to give you the absolute best customer service. That's why year after year after year for 50 years, and more than 50 years now, Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana has continued to trust Shawbills with their vehicles. So if you need to buy tires, get the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. You need an oil change or tires rotated or your brakes are squeaking, whatever it may be. Schedule that service online or get to Shawbills today. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor, so you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast? All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Cowboys corner Trayvon Diggs tears his left ACL during a one-on-one drill in practice today. He will miss the rest of the season. Week 3 kicks off tonight in the NFL. The 1-1 Giants meet the 2-0 49ers in Santa Clara. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow day-to-day with a lingering right calf injury. He did not practice today. Cincinnati plays the Rams Monday night. ESPN's Chris Canty believes Burrow should sit out until Week 8 after the Bengals bye week.
In order to get to the point where it becomes manageable, where he can go out and show some semblance of being the quarterback that we've seen over the past 2 years, he's going to have to be able to drive off of that back foot. And that's where he's had his calf injury on his right leg. So I think it's a situation where the Cincinnati Bengals have to protect the player from himself.
Chris Canty on Unsportsmanlike. Steelers safety Minkah Fitzpatrick says he's not a dirty player and that there was no ill will behind his hit on Browns running back Nick Chubb Monday night. Chubb now out for the season with a knee injury.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt. Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso.
The 70s Dolphins stink.
Put it on his tombstone. Oh, man. All right. We're here. I laughed about that. Did I not laugh about that the whole break? The entire break.
Still laughing about it.
I'm still laughing about it.
You're still laughing about it.
All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. It's 5 o'clock and all that stuff. Triplett in 15 minutes. Join now. Let's talk to RC.
It's time to talk Tigers with former LSU safety Ryan Clark.
RC, do the 72 Dolphins stink?
Do the 72 Dolphins stink? I don't think so. I mean, it's when air yards weren't that big of a deal. Why did you ask me the 72 Dolphins stink? I wasn't even bored.
All right, so before the top of the hour, how did we even get talking about that? Oh, I was talking about the 2-0.
Our what to watch, yeah, the 2-0 teams.
We're talking about all the 2-0 teams in the NFL and who's for real and whatnot. And really, we just went down the road of talking about what team's going to go undefeated and get the 72 Dolphins to stop popping champagne, which I think it's one of the dumbest traditions, but I get it and all that stuff, but I hate it. And then Musso just went off on it completely, and he went down the road of saying that the 72 Dolphins actually stink. And I just have laughed about that for about 12 straight minutes now.
What was his reasoning for them stinking?
He doesn't have a reason.
I was just angry, actually.
He's just mad about these old men popping champagne. So he tries to completely delegitimize their championship. He's talking about how nobody was good and the league was 5 years after the merger, and it was so much easier to do it. So he's trying to delegitimize.
He's just mad. Period. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, man. The 72 Dolphins. So RC has to put him on his tombstone, man. The 72 Dolphins stink. Oh, my God. All right, anyway, I'm sorry.
Mercury Morris did not write rap songs for this. He did not.
Oh, man. I will laugh about this for the rest of my life. All right. RC, good to have you, man. Thank you for the time, as always.
Yep.
From something very silly and stupid to something very serious. I did notice on your social media today that you had an opportunity to go visit with Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Can you give us any kind of an update? I know information's been hard to get and justifiably so, but just anything.
Yeah, I don't. It's like I don't necessarily know. What the family wants to be said. I think the thing I will say is he's a fighter. He's already, doing his best through his therapies and what they can do with him there to try to progress and do certain things. He was able to stand today, which is a very big deal. But obviously he's still tired, still dealing with a lot of what that sort of traumatic and invasive surgery can do to a person. And I would say, like, for me, the hardest part was, I coached Greg along with Derek Stingley and Jordan and a lot of those kids when they were in high school. And to see somebody that's always so energetic, always so vibrant. I mean, to see a kid who had, basically an afro, to have all of his hair gone, to have tubes, everywhere, to at the time when I got to see him, because he was so tired, wasn't even opening his eyes or, couldn't really even squeeze a hand at the time, and then talk to his mother. I went to high school with his father, actually. I grew up with him. We played bitty basketball together. We played park ball against one another. I'm really close with his grandmother as well. Just to see how much pain they're in, to see how much they care about their baby, man. I think it was heartbreaking, truly. But Greg's a fighter, bro. I would say just everybody keep them and him in your prayers, and just know, like, I'm just being honest, football is very far off. So for the media members, I think I saw something from Coach Kelly that were asking about him being able to play. I'm not a doctor, bro. I'm not. But I've been in that position. I've been extremely ill. I've been in the hospital dealing and fighting for my life. Like, football is not the thing. Right now it's about this kid's life. It's about Greg getting an opportunity to live normally, which we don't know if that is in the cards for him going forward. And so, man, just remember, too, when you talk about this kid was sick for a while. And he was dealing with this, and it was diagnosed as what it was diagnosed. He played 65 plays for the LSU Tigers against the Florida State Seminoles with this tumor, with that fluid on his spine. And I know there are, like, a lot of people that we consider heroes of our school. Joe Burrow will always be a hero. Tyrann Matthew, like those sorts of people. This kid, man, is the greatest Tiger of all. To know what he did, what he was going through, what his mom told me he was going through daily in order to get on the field, and what he was trying to communicate, bro. Like, it is heartbreaking for me to have seen him the way I did today, and to know what he was going through, and that he still went out on that field and put on purple and gold for us. I think that's a big deal.
Hey, man, thank you for your willingness to share. I know that's, it's just there's football and then there's real life, right? So, you didn't have to say much, but you did, and I do appreciate it. I know a lot of people do, because there's a lot of concern for the young man. So, I think whatever information, whatever tidbits people can get, I know are appreciated. So, excuse me. So, it's always RC. It's always so clumsy to try to transition from something serious to something that just is mundane and all. So I'll just move. But like they're going to play Arkansas this weekend, and it's a different kind of challenge from last week. But let me start with what went so well defensively against Mississippi State. What did you see?
It's crazy. I tweeted about 1-4 during the game, right? I just think, he comes over from Marshall. I don't know much about him. He's going to McNeese, transfer. The kid, man, truly jumped off of the screen to me. I thought the way he played, the intensity in which he pursued the ball was huge for LSU. I also think now moving Harold and allowing him to rush and be a part of affecting the quarterback in that way. And also I felt the coverage on the back end was really good. And this was, I didn't watch Grambling, so I would be lying to say I did. Mm-hmm. But I thought rush and coverage were tied in together really well. And I thought this was the game that they were the most creative with their most impactful players, which I think is something they have to continue to do going down the stretch. And I mentioned, 1-4 for a reason as well. I met him today in the hospital. The first time I've ever seen the kid or ever talked to the kid. Just a bright, awesome young man. And, he was there to see his friend. And I know I'm going back to a story that probably doesn't matter, but he said that Greg was the first one to embrace him and tell him that LSU was the place for him. Man. And so, all those things tie in to why you have great football teams, you have great locker rooms, and you get very good players to come and be a part of your team and contribute like that young man did this weekend.
That's awesome. Because Andre Sam, who and what a obvious position of great need right now for LSU as well. Another Louisiana guy getting to play for the Tigers. So and Ryan Clark's with us, of course. Man, you see him. NFL Live, of course, Sports Center, Pivot Podcast. You see him everywhere. Last thing for you. So this weekend, a very different challenge with KJ Jefferson in Arkansas. Do you think LSU is built to be able to defend Arkansas, where they do have this really big physical running quarterback and a couple of good running backs as well?
Isn't it funny that the reason people like KJ can play quarterback is because of Arkansas, Matt. And I know people, and maybe this is just me, and you can tell me, I say stupid things sometimes, but
okay.
But isn't the Wildcat the reason zone read became a thing?
That's you know what? It was what the Wildcat was, the Darin McFadden package.
Yes.
At Arkansas in 05, 06, 07, and there, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so that's what started to make you feel like, if we can get a quarterback that can do some of this, or if we can start doing some of this with our quarterback, and now we got a guy that can also throw the football, imagine the predicament that puts the defense in. And so it's kind of full circle that's the way they play football now. And I do believe that LSU can defend it, because I think the difference is, in the middle, I believe we're strong. When you think about who we are in the interior of the defensive line, you have linebackers that can not only rush the passer, as you see with Harold Perkins, but what's the freshman's name? Help me out, Matt. Kid 40.
Whit Weeks.
Yeah, and so now you have backers who are now showing you that they can tackle in space, get people on the ground, because what happens is when you play these sorts of teams, they make you play assignment football. And what I mean by assignment football is if someone's on the dive, you have to take the dive. If you're the guy that's assigned to the quarterback, you have to scrape and get to the quarterback. But a lot of times it leaves you there, at least until pursuit, to make plays alone in space. And I think we've shown that we can do that over the last 2 weeks, and continuing to do that and being able to be physical enough up front against a team like this is what you have to do in order to defend a running quarterback and a powerful run game.
He is Ryan Clark on Twitter at RealRClark25. You know where to find all of Ryan's stuff. Of course, latest episode of The Pivot is dropped as well. Desi Banks? Is it dropped today?
Desi Banks, man. Yeah, so what we're trying to do, by the way, Matt,
Okay.
We have Maurice Clarett next week, bro.
No, you already recorded it?
We recorded it. Maurice Clarett
Let's
tells
go.
the story. I'm just being honest with you. He tells the story that if he had not already gone to jail, he would go to jail for it.
What a tease. Look at you, media guy. That's a hell
Yeah,
of
hey man, I only got 6 shows.
Wait, what?
I said I'm only doing 6 shows right now.
Well, and still you find 10 minutes for us on a Thursday, and so we're always very appreciative of your time. So I'll let you bounce. Man, we always appreciate you as well, man. We'll see you next week, and we'll look forward to it, RC. Thank you.
Oh, man. Have a great one, brother.
All right, be well. That is Ryan Clark. We always appreciate him taking a call. I mean, Pivot, he does SportsCenter. He does Inside the NFL. He's doing NFL Live. He's everywhere. So we appreciate RC picking up the phone for 10 minutes and chatting with us. All right, let me knock out a break. Mike Triplett, let's talk some Saints next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, but you know that already. Ice cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. What sports? All sports. Like the NFL tonight. If you don't have Amazon Prime or Prime Video, no worries. Guess who does? Pluckers. So you want to watch Giants-Niners tonight, but you don't have Prime Video? Easy, go to Pluckers. And the reason it's even better is because every Thursday is all you can eat boneless buffalo bites. So pay one low price and eat as many boneless buffalo bites as you want all night long. Get there early, stay there late. They're open until midnight or later every night of the week. So get by Pluckers. Those buffalo bites, it's white meat, breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce, bite size. You can have as many of them as you want all night long every Thursday for one low price. That's at Pluckers. Get on by. Watch the Giants and the Niners tonight. You can watch the college game tonight. You can eat wings, drink beer, watch sports as Pluckers. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Mike!
Yeah?
Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash, family owned and operated since 1951.
All right, let's do it. Mike Triplett joins us now. New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash. How are you, Mike?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing really well, man. Let me just start kind of with the most newsy thing, which is the Marcus Maye suspension. Yeah. Timing of it, was this expected that it was going to come down now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. When he finally made his plea deal in late August, that paved the way, and that started the process. But, it has to be ruled on. There has to be time for an appeal. I don't know if he actually did appeal. I don't know if his appeal was heard. But I remember saying at the time, I don't think this can be done by week one. And it wasn't done by week one, but it was done soon after. So, I think it was inevitable it was going to come at a certain time of the season. It stinks because he was playing pretty well to start the year, and the defense is obviously playing lights out, so you don't want to throw any wrench into that. But I guess you could say it's a good thing because they're fully healthy on defense outside of Peyton Turner's injury. So, they've got all the backups. It's not like they're down 3 DBs in this game or something like what we saw at the beginning of last year.
Yeah. Does it make the most sense that Jordan Hoden, the rookie 5th-round pick from Minnesota, replaces Marcus Maye for the 3 games while he's out?
Yeah, I made this point on the show last night. I mean, when you see that they're going from their experienced veteran starter to the rookie 5th-round pick, it feels like, oh, geez, they're not really fortified at this position. But they do have a ton of veteran options, and Jordan Howden earned his way above them. I mean, they signed both Lonnie Johnson Jr. and Jonathan Abram, experienced NFL starters, early in free agency, and Johnson is going to play in this game, and Jonathan Abram is currently on the practice squad. I don't know if he'll get promoted on game day or not. They also have Ugo Amadi's mostly been playing in the slot, but he's an experienced starting NFL safety. J.T. Gray's been around this defense for years. So they have tons of options, and Howden beat them out for this role. And he was also the one who was playing real defensive snaps the first 2 weeks. He played as their dime back. He played 26 snaps in the first 2 games.
That was the old P.J. Williams role. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, exactly.
And last year when Marcus Maye was out, we saw P.J. play...
And speaking of P.J. Williams, he's a phone call away if they were desperate at this position, but they're not. They're pretty deep.
Oh, please don't go there. Please don't. Let's not go back there, please. Let that era be done. Hey, let's. The other sort of, I guess, personnel issue this week would be running back. With Jamal Williams hasn't practiced yet this week. It's as of Thursday. Kendre Miller was full. So, how do they look there, Mike? I mean, they're thin, but how do they look going into Green Bay?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the timing is really good that Williams goes down, but Kendre Miller is ready to come back. Miller would have come back this week no matter what. He's supposed to come back next week. I don't know what kind of workload he's ready to sustain. I don't know, how rusty he'll be after missing the last 3 weeks of the hamstring injury. It kind of, stinks that he wasn't fully healthy for this 3-game stretch without Alvin Kamara, and especially for this game without Kamara and Jamal Williams, because, it would have been a huge opportunity for him. But he'll be part of the mix. Tony Jones Jr. will be part of the mix. Maybe Tony Jones Jr. will be the one they trust more in pass protection. And Taysom Hill will be part of the mix. And frankly, they had to turn to that out of desperation, making him actually line up as a tailback. But that's something we talked about this offseason. Show me the game where Taysom Hill gets 10 carries and it doesn't work, because I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's a great point. It was perplexing why he didn't touch the ball more in the season opener. Mike Triplett is with us. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. Of course, our Convos with Mike every Thursday, brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Mike, what the offensive, I don't want to say inability, but inefficiency, maybe the lack of scoring is kind of perplexing. How easy is this to fix, to rectify?
It's a good question. I think it really comes down to the offensive line. I mean, that's been the problem. They're just not holding up in pass protection. Their run game stunk in week 1. I thought it got better in week 2, but then obviously they had the injury to Jamal Williams. But if they can't protect for Derek Carr, I mean, he's either abandoning throws or getting hit as he throws, and it's affecting his throws, or getting sacked 8 times through 2 games already, and they've got to fix that. I think they were better in that area. I think Trevor Penning played better. I thought they gave him more help, more chipping, but all those big plays are kind of making up for the early inefficient drives. We expect so much more from this offense. We know the playmakers are there. We know Derek Carr can look better than he's looked. So I would think it's as simple as, I expect it to get fixed sooner than later, but it really comes down to the offensive line. I don't think they should be a season-long liability, but it's been a struggle so far.
They've also converted just 37% of their red zone trips into touchdowns. A very obvious one, Mike, is where is Jimmy Graham? Why is he on this team if you don't target him in the red zone?
Well, I mean, it's Jimmy Graham, it's Foster Moreau, and it's Jawan Johnson. He had 3 catches in the first game, maybe 4 if they would have replayed that one that they didn't need to replay because of the penalty. And it's thrown to running backs. That's not a part of this offense either. I mean, they've really only got one thing working for the offense, which is the desperation deep throw. They did have a healthy dose of Mike Thomas earlier in the game, 7 catches in the first half, which was great to see and helped sustain him. But I agree that the red zone has been a problem, but I don't think it's just been the red zone. I just think it's been an inefficient offense overall that's bailing itself out with big plays late in games.
Well, the defense has bailed them out as well because they've been awesome. You've watched and covered this team for a very long time, so put some context around it. It's 2 games, but give me some context through 2 games of just how good they've looked defensively.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think we've seen this in recent years. I mean, I think in particular that hideous 2021 season, the one where they went into Tampa Bay and won 9-0. Dennis Allen basically got his job for that reason, and the first team to shut out Tom Brady in whatever it was, 15 years. I think at that end of that last season, second half of that season, they were playing probably the best defense that I had seen in this entire era. And I thought it waned a little bit last year, and I thought maybe it would not quite be to that level this year because of guys like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis getting older and a lot of new guys on the defensive line. But man, we've seen this peak level from them, and it looks like they can keep this up as long as those guys are still drinking from the fountain of youth. Marshawn Lattimore's playing as good as he's ever played before. I think Tyrann Mathieu really found himself in his second year in this system. I think the secondary is just really loaded. And the defensive line's getting the job done. That's where we had a question mark. But all these guys who are in elevated roles, Carl Granderson's playing lights out, Malcolm Roach is playing lights out, Brian Brzee has stepped in right away and made a contribution. Cam Jordan still looks great. I think that was one big question mark we have the team, and they're really holding up their end.
A couple more for you, Mike. Specifically going to Lambeau against a Packers team with a new-ish starting quarterback in Jordan Love. What is the challenge for the Saints defense this Sunday against the Packers?
Yeah, I want to see what their final injury report looks like Friday, because I think this would be a real challenge if they were at full strength, but we don't know if they'll have Aaron Jones, their top running back. We don't know if they'll have Christian Watson, their top receiver. We don't know if they'll have David Bakhtiari, their top offensive lineman. So it's not going to be as threatening as it could have been when those guys were all fully healthy. And look, Jordan Love is the big question mark in this offense, but it's not a rebuilding team. It's been a very good team. They just lost Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur is one of the better offensive coaches in this game, and he's been there for several years. So this isn't anything like what we just saw with the unproven quarterback last week, surrounded by a new coaching staff and an unproven offensive line. I think it's a real offense. Am I right that Jordan Love is it not thrown an interception yet this season? So he hasn't looked like an inexperienced guy. They fought Atlanta hard. I watched a lot of that game last week since I got to watch the games on Sunday. It's a real opponent. It's not going to be a free. And they're actually Green Bay is actually favored by 2 points in this game. So it's a real test for. It's going to be their biggest test yet, I think. 6
touchdowns, no picks for Jordan Love through the 2 games. The 1-1 start for the Packers. So, Mike, one more I know it's 2 games and you've beaten Ryan Tannehill and Bryce Young, but at what point do you look at the Saints as one of the 9 undefeated teams in the NFL or in the NFC and say, okay, well, they're real. They're a real contender in the NFC as opposed to just being a good team in a bad division, which I know is what I thought at the beginning of the season and maybe still do.
Well, we'll have to see if they can answer that offensive question you asked me. We think this offense actually has potential to be special with those 3 receivers playing the way they're playing, with Alvin Kamara coming back next week. I think Derek Carr should be good enough to get the ball in the hands of all those playmakers if he has enough time, and the offensive line should be good enough to give him time. But even if the offense is just, average, I think they are a real team that has as good a chance as most in the NFC outside of really Dallas and Philadelphia and San Francisco maybe. I think they're in that next tier. But even if the Saints are sort of the shaky team that's barely winning like we've seen before, I don't know when that's going to stop either, because I'm not going to pick them to lose next week at home against Tampa Bay. I probably won't pick them to lose at New England. That's a sort of tough test like Green Bay is this week. I'm not going to pick them to lose to Houston. I'm not going to pick them to lose to Chicago. I'm not going to pick them to lose to Indianapolis. I mean, the schedule is going to let them get off to a really good start.
Look at the quarterbacks they play. I mean, we have been talking about it for a long time here. It is a very, very manageable slate for this team, like you said, to get off to a really good start. Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, and our convos every week are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Mike, we appreciate it as always, man. Enjoy the weekend. Looking forward to next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Be well. It is After Further Review, of course, our chats with Mike brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. But actually going to roll through Benny's when I get out of off the show here today. Locations all over. Go to bennyscarwash.com, bennyscarwash.com. One of the things I want to remind you, as we do often, but if you go to the website and you hit the memberships tab there, the Wash Club memberships, you can buy your membership for as low as $16.99 a month. That's the one that I have. I was thinking about this earlier today. Not only do you get unlimited washes for $16.99 a month, but then you also save 30 cents per gallon of gas at the Be Quick where the Bennies are. So I was doing the math in my head. If I save $30 a gallon, roughly 15 gallons in my tank, if I fill up about once a week, which is what I do, over the course of the year, it's going to save me over $200 in gas, which pays for the Wash Club membership, more than pays for the Wash Club membership. It's a great deal. Would highly recommend it. Benny'sCarWash.com, Benny'sCarWash.com. Great sponsors, and very proud to have them on board, sponsoring the Mike Triplett segment here for the second consecutive year. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're going to knock out a break, come back, and we'll give you a little Thursday Night Football preview. Giants, Niners, tough spot for the Giants going coast to coast, and obviously just with the early season struggles that the G-men have had, now going to play the Niners, who look like right alongside Dallas and Philly is the cream of the crop in the NFC. So we'll get a quick preview of that game. Otterlocks in less than 15 minutes from right now. We'll check in with Jimmy, see who he's got, what we're betting on tonight. So that's all still ahead. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Thanks to those who are watching on WBTR in Baton Rouge and on our YouTube channel as well. If you are watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Smash that like button and subscribe up to the channel. We appreciate you. Okay, we will continue with AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. The newest Gordon McKernan billboard is up. If you haven't seen it yet on I-10, it's Gordon. They've taken the 3D Gordon standing on the hood of a big rig, and they put a giant purple helmet on him with the G logo. It's pretty spectacular. So you'll see it. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on all their social media as well. Just go on to @GetGordon, Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You'll see it all right there. At Get Gordon on all the social media platforms. Tell you every day, get Gordon, get it done. And the newest Grubbin with G is out. It's Gordon McKernan and Malik Neighbors, of course, wide receiver with the Tigers. If you're not familiar with Grubbin with G, Gordon sits down with one of the G team members, and they just have a candid one-on-one talk over a meal. They edit it down. You can see the whole conversation on their YouTube channel. It's awesome. Check it out on any of the social media platforms at Get Gordon. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new 2023 Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Darin. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, we'll get to Otter Locks a little more than 10 minutes from right now. Glad you're rolling along with us here. Thursday night football. Tonight, it is the Giants against the Niners. Huge task for the Giants to try to move the football against that Niners D, and Brian Daboll, the Giants coach, knows it.
Well, he's done this for a long time. He has a ton of experience. He has, I'd say, a number of plays that he's run throughout his past, and he's always evolving. That's what I appreciate about Kyle. He's a heck of a football coach. He creates, I'd say, a lot of issues, whether that's run force issues, whether it's making plays look exactly the same and setting things up. He's a timely play caller. He's an excellent coach.
That was actually about Kyle Shanahan. Speaking of Shanahan, here was Shanahan talking about the challenge of going against the Giants defense?
It's usually, there's people every week, TJ from the edge and Aaron from inside. They got as good of inside players here too. Dexter Lawrence is, it's our first time really seeing them, but just watching him the last 24 hours, he's as good as advertised. Leonard Williams has always been a great player. Both of their edges are good also. So they got a very good front and similar challenges the last 2 weeks.
That is crazy. They opened up with the Steelers, saw TJ Watt last week with the Rams. Of course, you got to handle Aaron Donald. The NFL is unrelenting and unforgiving for an offense to go against great defensive fronts, and certainly the Giants have really good players, as do the Niners with Bosa there. And for the Niners defensively, what about handling Daniel Jones and this Giants offense, which, look, they got blanked by the Cowboys 40-0 in an embarrassing season-opening loss on Sunday Night Football. They did manage to pull out a win against Arizona with an incredible comeback, 31-28. That I don't think anybody saw coming when you're down 20 points in the NFL, but the way they rallied was pretty incredible. So now back-to-back weeks on the road, this time out west in San Francisco. Here was Shanahan on Daniel Jones.
A huge challenge. It starts with his legs. Anytime you have that speed and you can run the ball like he does, they're willing to run him. He's willing to run. He's physical when he runs, and he's got the skill set to run away from people. So anytime you got a quarterback like that, the challenge it does just schematically unlocking your defense and making you have to play a certain way is always a pain. And then he's got the ability to play in the pocket and beat you that way too. So he's getting better each year. We all really loved him coming out, and he's, I think, one of the main reasons he took him to the playoffs last year, and he played really unbelievable there in that second half on Sunday.
All right, Thursday Night Football coming up tonight. We'll get to Otterlocks, get you a pick on the game in just a second. Brian Kelly's meeting with the media right now. He has updated the injury report for Saturday's game against Arkansas. I'll give you that here in just a quick moment, but I want to remind you about South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. If you are in the market for a vehicle or might soon be in the market for a new vehicle, you know our friends at South Point Volkswagen would love to help you. Go see my friends. Go see Kelly, Mr. Bill, Brad, all the fine folks over at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, for our audience in Lafayette or Lake Charles, Southwest Volkswagen there in Lafayette, same great ownership group, great specials. Because they move more inventory than anyone, they can get you the best deal for a brand new Volkswagen at South Point Volkswagen. Tell you all the time as well about the IIHS Top Safety Picks. The all-new electric ID4 has also achieved that designation. Every vehicle in the Volkswagen line has achieved the highest safety designation that you could possibly get by the IIHS. It's South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, y'all. Brian Kelly is meeting with the media as we speak right now. Here is, I'll just grab this from Cokie Riley at The Advertiser, who tweeted it out, the absolute latest injury report per Brian Kelly. Omar Speights doubtful for Saturday's game against Arkansas. Mason Taylor, probable. Ovie Oghoufo.
Mason Taylor!
Ovie Oghoufo, probable. Oghoufo is interesting because, quite honestly, I think Braden Swinson's been better. Braden Swinson, the Oregon transfer, who didn't necessarily pop throughout camp, and Oghoufo's experience as a sixth-year player looked like it had won the day. But as we've seen Swinson more the past 2 weeks, he looks better coming off the edge, playing that jack linebacker spot. Of course, having Mason Taylor back helps your offense.
Mason Taylor!
As opposed to having to play a parade of freshmen. And the thing about Mason Taylor that is maybe the most important in this offense is he's a safety blanket for Jaden Daniels. From the time we got to watch that scrimmage in Tiger Stadium, I think 3 of the first 4 plays they went to Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor!
And it's just a favorite target of Jaden. So, yes, I think having him available, he being Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor!
I'm just trying it on. Obviously, the most consequential, though, is Omar Speights being doubtful for the game, which means Whit Weeks starts again. And I don't know that's a bad thing. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not telling you that Whit Whit Weeks starting isn't a bad thing. I'm sorry. I'm not saying Omar Spates being doubtful isn't a bad thing. What I'm saying is Whit Weeks starting isn't a bad thing. Whit Weeks starting is perfectly fine. If he were to start the rest of the season, that's perfectly fine. Of course, I want Omar Spates back out there. The guy he's in his 5th year of collegiate football. He started his last 3 years at Oregon State, was first team All Pac-12, was a 100-tackle guy a year ago. You want him out there. You want the experience, the size, the depth, because now, I'll spell it out for you. If something were to happen, somebody turns an ankle, whatever it may be, Penn, Weeks, well, who's next? Well, instead of Omar Spates, it's West Weeks. And then after that, it's Christian Braithwaite, a true freshman. So your depth clearly is affected there. So Omar Spates, again, doubtful. Ovie Ogofu, probable. And the sophomore tight end, also probable. Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor!
All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Appreciate our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Eighth Agent Clinics of Louisiana, title sponsor for our Thursday shows all throughout the year. All right, we got one thing left to do. We'll knock out our final break. When we come back, Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks. Thursday night football with the Giants and the Niners. Big line, 10.5. Where does the Otter fall? We do have a college game tonight. Muse, do you remember offhand? What's the college game offhand?
Georgia State and Coastal Carolina.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, there's an opportunity to see Georgia State. You're coming to Baton Rouge
They
later?
are coming to Baton Rouge.
Right?
In the throwaway third week of November game.
The penultimate week of the regular season. When championships are won or lost, heightened awareness and intent at the end of the season, when most leagues are playing divisional games and things that are so significant, college football says, play an FCS school. Play Georgia State. Anyway, Georgia State's 3-0, by the way.
They are.
How about that undefeated Georgia State?
Little Sunbelt action tonight.
On
here
the
in this
road at Coastal Carolina tonight. So in Conway.
Yeah, the Chanticleers.
The Chants.
Chants.
I shan't watch that. I shall watch the Giants and the Niners. Otter Locks next, AFR.
AFR.
I have got incredible news. Last night I was driving around. Phone rang. It was Darin James, my guy DJ. Told me, Scone, got something to tell you. We're bringing it back. The Guaranteed Sale Program, the thing that popped off, the promotion that popped off unlike anything I've seen rarely in media. The Guaranteed Sale is coming back. It works like this. Call Darin James. You'll sit down with him. You and Darin will agree to a price to sell your home and a date by which he must sell it. If he doesn't sell your home at that price by that date, he will have your home bought with cash or he'll sell it for free. It's the Guaranteed Sale Program. It's back at Darin James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Call him today, 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darin James.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and of an incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. On my way to see EJ.
All right. Who we got tonight?
Look, Port Allen, baby.
All
EJ
right.
Ott on the sack.
We got
EJ Watt, EJ Ott, you know.
We got the Knights and the Pelicans tonight, huh?
There we go. Let's
go.
go on the West Bank, baby. Yes, indeed.
Let's
Yes,
go.
indeed. So, not my favorite card tonight. The football game, though, I think a little sneaky play on Georgia State. Plus the points, 3-0. Kind of Grayson McCall by himself with Coastal Carolina. They're just not what they used to be. So I think there's a little bit of a reputation lined up. Georgia State's got a chance to win this game outright tonight.
Okay.
Got 10 points. So not that one. Got you a Major League Baseball pick as well. Grayson Rodriguez. I mean, Baltimore is going to be the number one seed in the American League. And they got a 2-game lead over Tampa Bay, who won and come from behind fashion this afternoon, and with 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. But they're fine. They own the tiebreaker as well against Tampa Bay. Rodriguez might be their opening day starter, their first playoff game starter, and but his overall numbers are not that great because he was a rookie who was brought up and he was struggling. But man, he has been really good the last 10 starts or so. I think minus the 1.5 at even money on the road at Cleveland, who's throwing out a tomato can tonight. I think that Baltimore minus on the run line in Major League Baseball.
All right.
And man, the Giants, San Francisco. San Francisco's 2-0 after going on the road and winning 2 games, even though they had more fans in LA last Sunday. You know, they failed to cover. I don't know if you've heard. There was some kind of meaningless field goal at the end of the game by Sean McVay and the Rams. But anyway, Charlie still fight me on that one. I was with him at the Queen Sportsbook. I said, they're going to kick the field goal, Charlie. I was actually begging more than predicting. But, you know, hey, I'll take it any way I can get it. And but you know, this is a big number. It seems like everybody just laying on. They think they're going to roll the Giants. The Giants who got off to a horrible start. That's a big number, man. Not my favorite play. Again, you know, won't see my son play tonight. But if I had to, I would take the 10.5 points which is available at DraftKings right now.
I heard, I was listening earlier to you guys, Paul Nolan laid off this game tonight. Do you know anybody that has a strong feeling one way or another, or a prop? I saw one of the prop bets on one of the ESPN shows saying Daniel Jones over 31.5 passing attempts. Any feeling on a prop or anything like that you've heard?
No, I just know this, that if you think the betting public bets overs and totals for games, you ought to see the percentage is even greater for props. So I'm kind of a fade the public guy. I mean, I like to be on the house's side, but I'm always looking under when I do look at props. But, Saquon Barkley's out, and, he's a big part of what the Giants do. I think Daboll, after the really rough 6 quarters, I think they could be, they could compete a little bit. San Francisco, not crazy about how much in the game, an inferior Rams roster was on Sunday. That was a tight game for most of the game, but still, it's a tough one, Matt. I mean, San Francisco is so much better, but double digits in the NFL is a lot of points.
Yeah. All right, so maybe a small play on the Giants if you want to do it at 10.5. Otter likes Baltimore on the run line tonight, and Georgia State against the spread, but with a chance.
What's that money line coming back?
Let me see. I had it up. 1 second. It is
1 minute remaining.
Georgia State plus 180.
There you go.
On the money line. So
swing away.
I just made a play and gladly took the 5 points. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Otter Friday, Football Friday, Lock of the Week Friday at Ruffino's tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead.
Start an hour early, 10 a.m. So Richard Dixon joins us. He does a lot of film study on LSU, and an extra hour on Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments from Ruffino's. Hey, and Matt, also the unveiling tomorrow of the Tiger Walk and the Ruff and Rodri tribute. So really nice stuff. They're unveiling that tomorrow.
Was just about to mention it. Yeah, it's going to be a special day, no doubt. So, hey, Otter, thanks, man. We appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you, man.
All right, go Knights. Otter's going to watch EJ play some ball tonight. Good luck to all the high school teams tonight and all this weekend. All right, Muse, Paulie, thanks so much. Y'all have an awesome, awesome night. See you tomorrow for a Football Friday edition of AFR.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, let me take 60 seconds and remind you about Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. It's pretty incredible every time I go into Traction, whether I'm working out or just going to see Mac or Eddie or Terry or any of the guys. It's this crazy sort of melting pot of professional athletes. Depending on which off season it is, you'll see athletes. So like this summer, there was Ethan Posick and Micah Baskerville and all these Damone Clark and all these professional football players working out at Traction. And then on the other field, there's the St. Joseph soccer team. It doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete or you're a high school athlete who's trying to go from the JV to the varsity, or if you're a 9-year-old who's trying to learn proper pitching mechanics. They got the pitching lab upstairs now. If you want you personally or your son or daughter to maximize their athletic ability, Traction can help them. TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206